only is she a survivor of domestic violence, but she is truly thriving in this season of life. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with her over the past month. And let me tell you, she has an infectious energy that radiates through her.
Yes, she does.
Her confidence in who she is and what she represents is super inspiring. Not to mention she has a rockin' body. So, she is a fitness Olympian, which I'm in the fitness industry. She's incredible. Yeah, I can't even go into that. She's amazing. She's an author, she's a veteran, and the CEO of Empowered Coaching Academy. Please help me welcome our keynote speaker of brunch, Laticia Jackson.
Oh, you ready to just start things? I don't know. Hello. We're not going to do that. I'm going to say this again. Hello. I have to breathe for a moment. Ask me why.
Why?
I will tell you why. When I met this beautiful woman here, I will tell you, I have never felt so welcome. How many of you as women have been around other women and you felt unwelcome? Raise your hand. I think everyone should have their hand up because we've all felt it. When I met her, she embraced me. I was given hugs, we spent time speaking, we spent time getting to know one another. And when I agreed to do this presentation and she asked what I wanted to speak on, I was very clear as what I wanted to speak on. So today my presentation is one of my signature presentations. I've delivered this at Microsoft, United States Air Force, the Army, Marine Corps, and other. Are you prior military? Oh, well, pull for him. And I told her I want to be as transparent as possible. The panel a few minutes ago spoke on the power of authenticity. I'm going to warn you. What did I just say? What did I just say? I am going to warn you. I am going to get into some of you guys' business without you really even telling your business. Because today's presentation is about really speaking our truth, taking ownership of our truth, and expressing who we really are from within. And I'm going to use that word within throughout my presentation. Ask me why. Why? I will tell you why later. Before I begin, please stand to your feet.
Camera gonna wobble if I do.
Okay. I would like for you to look at the lady, amazingly beautiful lady next to you. To your left, not yet. Not yet. Okay. I would like for you, when I say go, please take time and be authentic. And look at the lady next to you, to your left and to your right. And I want for you to tell her, I see the power within you. Carry on.
I
Go.
see the power within you. I see the power within you. Yes, beautiful. I see the
Who did that? I just saw someone salute. That was a good salute. Ma'am, yes ma'am. Great job, ma'am. So why did I have you guys do that? Ask me why. I will tell you why. So often as women, we have been taught that our power comes in the people, places, and things around us. I will say that again. So often as women, we have been taught socially, culturally, that our power comes from things around us. Where the reality is you were born with power within you. Let me say that again. You were born with power within you. And so many of us, even myself, deny our power. We're taught to play small. We're taught to apologize and say sorry. We're taught to diminish ourselves because of the color of our skin. But the moment a woman realizes that her power comes from within her, she will only then become unstoppable. Yes. Let me say that again. The moment she realizes that her power has always been within her, she will become unstoppable. Yes.
She knew these heels was hurting.
So some of you may say, wow, Action Jackson, you were intense. Okay, sidebar. I gotta share with you this. This has nothing to do with my presentation, but it kind of does. At the age of 19 years old, because people always ask me, where did I get Laticia Action Jackson from? At the age of 19 years old, I went into the United States Air Force. I was 19, I had no clue who I was. Let me say that again. I had no clue who I was. But I knew that divinely there was a leader and there was power inside of me. Even at the age of 19. I went into the United States Air Force, and guys, at first I was what was called a trash monitor. So I have tons of energy. They're like, Jackson, you're just gonna pick up trash all day. I was like, yes! Because I knew if I was going to be a trash monitor, I was going to be the best trash monitor.
Yes.
But guys, it got me out to move around. I've always had tons of energy. And so when we talk about being authentic, many of the answers that you guys are searching for from the outside is inside of you. I knew at 19 years old that I was a leader. I was born a leader. But I had to also realize that becoming the person I was divinely created to become would be a process. So one day while marching troops back to basic training, we had barracks where we stayed. One of my training instructors says, there goes Action Jackson. I was like, you got that right. Seriously, I was 19. But fast forward, because remember, becoming who you will become is a process. So if we fast forward to 29 years old, not knowing who I was, led me into a closet with hands around my neck. These were not the hands of a stranger. These were the hands of a man that promised me to death did us part. But the irony about the concept of death do us part is that he was not supposed to be the one to kill me. So as he choked me, seconds felt like minutes. Minutes felt like hours. Hours felt like days. How did I get into this situation? By society's standards, I was successful. I have every degree but a PhD. I was ranked one of the top athletes in the world. I've been in Oxygen magazine, Muscle and Fitness Hers, Google my name. I love you guys already. But in that moment, my degrees, my arms that are absolutely built by power from within, accolades, they were not going to save me. And I remember as he tightened his hands around my throat, I remember him saying to me, "Don't you ever talk to another man again." I was being attacked in a jealous rage. We had just left a gym, and a gentleman had asked to work in with us. Our Bree knows, in a gym culture, we work out together. If you want to work out on a machine, you say, "Hey, can I work in with you?" A gentleman came to work in with me, and my ex-husband was very jealous. In a jealous rage, I was called a bitch, a couple of names that no woman should ever be called. And on the way home, we got into a very, very bad argument. I'm in my closet, hanging up clothes. I turn around, and he proceeded to choke me. So in my head, I'm like, this is not happening. How many times in your own life have you found yourself in a moment where you said, this is not happening? But see, this is what we often do. We have these "this is not happening" moments, but we very seldom ask ourselves, how did we get here? There was a process to me getting to where I was at. My parents were married for 17, 18 years. And when my father left when I was 13 years old, something inside of me said, "You're not good enough." Subliminally in my head, I figured if I was smart enough, if I was pretty enough, if I just worked hard enough, this man would come back and love me and my family. My mother struggled to raise 3 kids. We went from having a very stable home to not knowing where food was coming from. So at 13, you don't have the cognitive ability to differentiate fact from feeling. So I said to myself, when I set on this mission, I am going to prove how valuable I am. 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. I would be, guys, in Oxygen magazine in Australia, a 4-page spread. When I opened the magazine, all I could see was imperfections. How many women end up in Oxygen magazine Australia? But I was hurt. I was broken. So as he continued to choke me, I had to say, wait a minute, you're not successful, you're not powerful, you're broken. I had abandonment issues, I had rejection issues, I had codependency issues, and I hated myself. And it's like, how is it possible? The world told me if I was fit, if I was beautiful, if I was smart, and those are the labels that many of you guys have bought into. So in essence, what we're doing is chasing an illusion that something in some moment, once I get that job, once I get that promotion, once I get married, then all of a sudden I'm going to feel good about myself. How many of you guys know that's a lie? Raise your hand if you know that that's a lie. I had it all according to the world. But I had nothing because I was poor on the inside. So as he began to choke me, I prayed. We had 4 guns in our house. My ex-husband was an avid shooter. I had an aunt that was killed by her ex-husband, shot in the chest. And the only thing I could think about is, God, I cannot die like this. I know that you have plans for my life, and I know that I got me here. But if you get me out of this, I will spend the rest of my life stripping myself from who I thought I was and become who you created me to be. Because I'm going to tell you, in that moment, the only thing I knew was that I was an athlete, that I was smart. Everything was tangible. From the time we're little, people ask you, what do you want to do when you grow up? No one asks you, who do you want to become? There's a difference between your what and your who. Your who is what will get you out of the things that got me out of where I was at. Eventually, he let his hands go, smacked me in my face, called me a couple of B words, and he took off. And this is the crazy thing about this. 2 weeks before the incident happened, my mother kept calling me excessively, outside of our normal everyday conversations. And I said, Mom, why do you keep calling me? She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. When I called her and told her what happened, She told me that she had a dream of me dead on the floor. My mother saw me dead on the floor the day my ex-husband choked me and tried to kill me. I called the cops. He fled. 3 days later, I get a phone call. At the time, my name was Mrs. Bone. And the cop on the other end said, "Mrs. Bone, we found your husband." The first thing that I asked the cop was, "Is he okay?" See, because when you operate in a stage of brokenness, when you operate from a position of brokenness, you can't see the real you. This man tried to kill me, but I wanted to know if he was okay. I had to go to the jail, and I had to press charges. I remember being in a courtroom. I've never committed a crime a day of my life. And being in a courtroom and hearing the judge say, "Here's victim number," and the judge read off this long number, and as soon as he called me a victim, I felt labeled. I felt dirty. I felt like there was no way to undo what had been done, that I was going to be labeled the rest of my life as a victim of domestic violence. I pressed the charges. 2 days later, family came to get me, and I remember waking up in my family's house in the darkest place in my life. It was so dark, I asked God to kill me, because the pain was so deep within me that everywhere I went, the pain followed. I would say that again, the pain was in here. I couldn't put on new makeup. I couldn't go buy another fitness outfit. I couldn't get any stronger arms. I had to do the work in here. So one day I had a conversation with myself 3 months after I had been in the bed depressed. I got up and I said, "Do you know who you are? You are Laticia Action Jackson." I had to look myself in the face and tell myself who I was, not what I did. I had to say who I was. I am a child of God created with a purpose. And you know what? I got angry. I had never been a victim, and I wasn't going to start then. I got up, I went to the gym, and I had some of the best workouts in my life. I can remember squatting with 250 pounds on my back and tears just running. Because see, I was dedicated to not running from my pain anymore. I moved 7 times in 7 years running from my pain. And I knew if you don't face this head on, either you are going to kill yourself or somebody else is going to kill you. Yep. 8 months later, I ended up with a different man with the same behaviors. Ask me how I got there, because I was still the same. The hurt was still in me. We attract to us what's in us. I'm going to say that again. We attract to us what is in us. You can cover it up with MAC makeup all day. And they really do have good makeup. I mean, hello. Fenty, I got you, girl. So what am I getting at? I spent years building a fit body. I spent years behind the walls of academia. But I had to strip all that stuff aside. I had to say, Action, it's time for you to get to know who you are. I committed to not dating for 3 years. The only person I wanted to date was me and God.
That's right.
Because I knew if I didn't let him get into the places of my brokenness, I would never heal. I had to go back to my father and tell him, "You abandoned me." And I chose men just like you who never showed up. And that was not to blame, that was to acknowledge. Because I'm going to tell you, the pain that's inside of us, sometimes we don't know the root cause. And until you get to the root, the fruit will continue to develop. Let me say that again. Until you get to the root. And I'm not talking about this fancy smancy. I'm talking about dirty, raw, real. I mean, getting shovels out and digging deep. And I'm going to tell you, it hurts. And it stinks. But on the other side of it is your truth. Social media will lie to you. It will teach you to curate your life. But if you are going to be successful, success starts with getting to know who you are. 8 months later, after leaving my domestic violence situation, I stood on the stage at the Fitness Olympia. I stood on the stage and I remember them looping this medal around my neck. And I remember standing proud for every single woman who had died in a domestic violence situation. I remember standing proud not because of the body, but I did not become a victim. See, here's the reality. I didn't take my power back. I ignited what was already inside of me. So many of you are talking about, I need to go find my power. Or I gotta curate it. No, it's in you. What you've got to do is get real with you and activate it. Stop looking around and start looking within. Let me say that again. Stop looking around and start looking within. I was ashamed even after the Olympia, but one day here in Sacramento, I went to buy some cherries. And the lady that was assisting me was being very rude. And inside of me, this gentle voice said, ask her how she's doing. I said, hon, how are you? And she begins to cry. She was like, I don't want to be here. I'm only here because I don't have anywhere to go. My ex-husband is abusing me, and I need to go. In that moment, God told me, you will now share your story. I'm like, huh? Because I knew that there was no power in silence. Let me say that again. There's no power in silence. You don't wait for someone to give you your voice. You have to choose to use it. You are sitting in companies. You are sitting in relationships. You're waiting for someone to give you permission to be amazing. You're waiting for permission to speak your truth. No one but you will give you the truth that's inside of you. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to cost you. It will cost you. To this day, my father and I still do not have a relationship. And sometimes the wounds of rejection, they try to present themselves and tell me I'm not enough. But remember, my dad doesn't hold my power. So I learned to forgive. Some of your stories may not be like mine, but you got a story. So now I get paid every day to travel and speak. See, the things that we hide sometimes will be the very things that God will use to bless the world. Some of you are trying to find a brand or build a brand. Your story is your brand. People don't do business with me because I have absolutely amazing arms. They do business with me because I tell them I'm going to be raw, I'm going to be real, and I am here not to motivate you. Motivation is boring. I'm here to activate what's inside of you and challenge you to get out of your own way. Let me say that again. Stop looking to be motivated. Motivation is boring, and motivation is like some 10-day-old milk is sours. It has an expiration date. But your truth, it never expires. Let me say that again. Your truth never expires. I took my power. I went on to write 10 books. 10. I wrote 7 books in 1 year.
Wow.
Yes. I went on to create a women's empowerment product line called Courageous Expressions. In a conversation one day with my 21-year-old nephew 7 months ago, he said, Auntie, you are so courageous. I was like, huh? Me? I know I'm like bad to the bone. But he was like, life and keep going. I saw you in the face of adversity, keep going. I saw you when people told you no, you kept going. And he said that took courage. And what I realized is that I am not the only one that has courage inside of me. There's courage inside of every woman. It takes courage to be you. It takes courage every morning to wake up in the mirror and accept the good, the bad, and the indifference. The world will lie to you and tell you you're not courageous, but you look at yourself and say, I am. So why don't I share my story with you today? For one, I'm going to give you 3 steps to activate your power. I wanted to share my story with you today because I'm sick and tired of this women's empowerment movement telling women to be fearless. I'm sick and tired of women sideline cheerleaders not getting into their own life and figuring out who they are. You gave away your power because you never realized that ownership was always yours. Let me say that again. You've given away your power because you never realized that the ownership was always yours. So how do you tap into your power from within? Ask me. How? I will tell you. I created an acronym in my coaching academy, and it's ACT. A-C-T. You remember your professors used to tell you, if I were you, I'd write this down? If I were you, I'd write this down. The A is for acknowledgement. It is very important to identify and to acknowledge who have you given your power to. A is for acknowledgement. The C stands for confrontation. Once you acknowledge who you gave your power to, it's time for you to confront that. The world will tell you confrontation's bad. I'm going to tell you confrontation is one of your best friends. See, because when you acknowledge something, that is not enough. It's not enough to say that I acknowledge I'm in an abusive relationship, or I acknowledge that I'm at a job that's underpaying me, or to acknowledge that you've given yourself away to undeserving people. You must confront it. The C stands for confrontation. Because I'm going to tell you, too many of us get stuck. Oh, I know I shouldn't be there. Okay. I know that they don't treat me right. Okay. I know I've been working really, really hard waiting for that promotion. Okay. We don't confront things because we're taught to be nice. Women are taught to be sideline cheerleaders that cheer everybody else on because we're afraid to cause an uproar. I'm coming, girl. I got you. Can I get an amen, sister? Hey! We are so afraid to speak our truth. I remember calling my dad one day and telling him, Dad, you don't value me. You've never shown up for me. You've never been a part of my life. And your rejection hurt me in more ways than one. I remember him saying, I don't get you. And I said, this conversation is not about you getting me. With all due respect, this conversation is about me speaking my truth. And what you do with it is up to you. We don't confront situations in our life because we're more afraid and more concerned about the other person. How many of you got things in your life that you need to confront? Raise your hand. And I'm going to tell you, the longer you wait to confront it, the longer you wait to acknowledge your own power. Because in essence, what you're doing by failing to acknowledge it, by confronting it, you're saying to yourself that you don't count. Being honest with you. The last step is T, which stands for take control. How many times have you guys said, I'm about to? Raise your hand.
I said it this morning.
I'm about to get out of this relationship. I'm about to write that book. I'm about to start my business. I'm about to ask for the raise. Well, if you never do it and take control, it will never happen. Let me say that again. If you never do it and take control, it will never happen. I'm going to tell you why you don't take control. Ask me why. Why? I'll tell you why. Because you don't believe in yourself. It got quiet. When we dig through the layers of truth, the truth is you don't value yourself. There's no way in the world I can walk into a diamond store and take a jewel. They don't give away valuable things. You are more precious than any jewel on this earth. Go ahead, clap, it's good. Yes, you're beyond a diamond, girl. Until I could look in the mirror and say, Laticia, you are enough. And it had nothing to do with my medals. It had nothing to do with my degrees. It had nothing to do with my accomplishments. Each and every one of you sitting in these chairs are enough. You're enough because God thought enough of you to create you. And no one's telling us this. No one's telling us how amazing and valuable we are. If I were younger and my father would have told me how amazing and valuable I was, maybe I would not have ended up in a domestic violence situation that would have almost killed me. Young girls today become grown women tomorrow. Let me say that again. Young girls today become grown women tomorrow who don't know themselves. A lot of you are grown women, but the little girl inside of you is still hurting. She was neglected. She was abused. She wasn't taken care of. And what we do is we overcompensate. We're overcompensators. Right? How many times have you been in a networking meeting and you say hi to someone and they say, oh, I'm the CEO of, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't ask you what you did. But when we don't know who we are, we feel comfortable standing behind what we do. And when that what is stripped away, we feel valueless. So the CEO gets to tell you you're a valuable employee. Then you say, oh, I must be great. You don't ever wait around for someone else from this day forward to tell you how valuable you are. Yeah. In the mirror and I have a conversation with myself. And I say, self? And then self says, yes. I say, you're smart. You're kind. You're consistent. You're honest. You're dedicated. And you're absolutely beautiful. You see, I'm not waiting to step into the world for the world to tell me that anymore. So I'm going to challenge each and every one of you every morning have a conversation with you. Speak to you in that mirror. And sometimes I will tell you, I couldn't accept my own beauty until I turned 40 years old. Because I never felt good enough. Today I'm like, do you know how beautiful you are? But I don't see my beauty here. It's from inside out. I don't deny my beauty anymore. I don't deny how smart I am anymore. I don't deny my accomplishments anymore because now I understand that those accomplishments don't define me. Those accomplishments are an extension of who I am. Do you see the difference? When you get to know who you are, your what should be an extension of who you are. That's why so many of you feel empty because who you are is undefined. And you're waiting for someone else to define you. So you take anything they tell you based on a day of the week. When you are anchored in your who, when I leave each and every one of you, I know who I am. You can't tell me who I am. God told me who I was. And I had to go through the lies, and I'm gonna tell you, you got some lies that you create in your own mind about who you think you are. Let me say that again. You have created lies about yourself, about who you think you are. I'm gonna challenge you to ask yourself, who are you today? Turn off the music. Turn off Instagram. Because Instagram's lying to you, Facebook's lying to you. And you do notice I said fake. Because you guys are tiptoeing around, driving in other women's lanes, looking at her Instagram page, wanting her family, wanting her body, wanting her career, where she may not even know who she is. Canva is available to anybody. You got that, girl, didn't you? So just in case you don't know what my reference is, Canva is a way for you to go in and curate images. Half of the women walking around on Instagram, Facebook, they're Canva curated. I'm gonna challenge you, outside of business, I'm gonna challenge you to go on a 30-day social media fast. Oh, that hit a spot.
I did 60 days, it was amazing.
What are you afraid of? If you silence the noise and you get before yourself, with yourself, you're gonna have to get to know yourself. Let me say that again. If you silence the noise and get with yourself, by yourself, you're gonna get to know yourself. That's why some of you end up in one relationship and get right into another. Because you have not learned your own value of yourself. A man will never define you. A man will never complete you. A man is there to compliment you. Okay. You can clap. When people ask me, why aren't you married? I'm like, why do I have to be married? You don't have kids? I'm like, why do I have to have kids? I'm not defined by anything else external ever again. Some of you need to get to know you. Take your makeup off and see the real you. I know today was probably not what you were expecting, but I'm glad. I want for you to walk out of this room today when you get in your car alone with your music off and start asking yourself, one, if someone were to come up to you and ask you who you are, do you know how to explain it? Two, have you denied the power that you were divinely given? And three, what's next? What's next? So I thank each and every one of you for listening. I thank each and every one of you for allowing me to be me. Because in being me, I hope that I gave you a chance to be you.